Hey everyone, Alex Trujillo from FlightScope here again. Thank you guys for joining us on another week of our FlightScope webinars. Today we're going to discuss the FlightScope Video App. I know a lot of you have been using this application and have requested some information and some details about the application, so we're going to go over that today. Again, just a reminder, if any of you want to come on air and ask a question live, please let me know in the chat. If you do have a question, please ask it in the Ask a Question section. That way I can get it to you. So I see that there already is a question. The question is from Rick, and his question is, hello, without giving away company secrets, can you tell us what the near to midterm software firmware upgrade priorities are for the Mevo Plus? Rick, as far as I know, any firmware or software upgrades are just going to be to just enhance just the continued quality of data. So obviously we're always looking at that. We have made some updates to the firmware. I do know that there will be some updates to the software as well. I've been testing just some UI stuff that we've been working with and just making the flow of the application nicer. I have done some tests on that, and that will be out on the store shortly. So again, as we continue along the process, as you know, as the technology advances, we will continue to bring you guys the latest and greatest information that we can. So hope that answers it for you. Alrighty, let's get into this this application here. So, FS Video App has a new look and feel like all of our apps do. I'm going to pop up an app here, or I'm sorry, a session that I did with Bubba at Bay Hill, and we'll go through that. I don't have a radar connected because I am sharing it to the screen. So as far as the setup goes, just remember, whether you're indoors or outdoors, that's going to be the main factor, and then staying within your limits. Obviously, sensor to T, you always want to be at least 10 feet with an X3. And if you're in the indoor modes, you have your short indoor and regular indoor. Any questions on setup, just feel free to give us a call at support, and we can walk you through that. I'm just going to work on walking you through the application today. So I'm going to go into a review a session. So I'm going to go into that third section there. I'll click on the little I with the reverse C, and we're going to go right into that session. So first thing we're going to discuss is videoing. So if you guys notice, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, I don't think you can, but you have your views section and you have your input section. So there's 4 different views. The first one would be what we call the single screen view. The second one right next to that on the right is what we would call our overlay view, and I'll come back to this. We have a split screen view, and then we also have a 3-screen view. So let's just talk about the individual views and then all of the inputs. So the first input is going to be from your main camera source. In this case, it was my iPad camera. Now, if I had multicam working, I could have an additional feed. In this instance, because we were on the range at Bay Hill and it was very tight, I did not have an additional video source. So you'll see that my camera 2 is empty. However, this is where you would see your additional data from that multicam. And then we have the radar view with the ball club and ball tracing, which is your feed from the X3. We also have 2 other views you can use. If you have a body track, that's the little feet. There's your data. I did not have a body track, as you can see in the video. And then you have your focus band. We have our data table or our dashboard screen. This is kind of where you can see all your different tiles. One interesting thing about this section here is that I can press and hold and kind of manipulate my data parameters as I see fit. We have a trajectory screen, so that's the trajectory of the shot. We have a grouping screen. Obviously, Bubba had only hit 2 shots in this section. We have views from the side and from above. We have our club analysis screen. Now, please excuse the image itself. I was recording this on my US sales account, which obviously is set to right-handed. We all know Bubba's left-handed, so the image is flipped, but the numbers are correct. And then you have your speed and acceleration profiles on the bottom. And then last but not least, the option to input videos into that single view. Now, let's go back to my single input with my #1 camera, which was the iPad. I'll play the video for you. All right, obviously that's time synced. I can go back. You guys want to see this and more. iPad outdoors with good sunlight is really produces some really good video. Now the cool thing about this is I have all my tools. I can draw my lines. I got the pencil if I want to draw something. Just your normal videoing. Now, what's really neat and a screen that I really like a lot is the X3 view. So this is your club and ball tray. So I'll play this video for you. Now, what I like about the screen is that obviously you have your ball trays, but I really like the club trays for showing players kind of like what their path looks like from about hip height to about hip height. And also you can see VSP and HSP. So just like seeing it in video, what it would look like. So obviously guys that lay it down a little more would be a little flatter, or guys that stand it up would be a little steeper. But just a good visual to show students or clients of how that club is moving through that strike zone. I'm going to go to our our overlay screen. So what I like about the overlay screen is, let's say that I have my main video up here, which is from my iPad. What I can do now is I can just drag and drop another source into the same video. So I can drag and drop the X3 camera and just move it on a specific portion of the screen. I can drag and drop the data. I can drag and drop speed and acceleration profiles, and I have everything on one screen. Then I can do the same thing, play my videos. You can see both videos are synced, even though one is overlaid on the other. And that's your overlay option. So next would be your split screen. So again, I can drag and drop whatever I would like to do here. So right now I have X3 on one side, I have iPad on the other. I can play, everything should be time synced, and there you go. I can also, one thing to remember is dragging and dropping is a function of all the views except the single view. So if I go back to the single view and I want to bring in, for example, my data, I don't drag and drop. What I do is I have to actually tap. So you can see that the tapping will bring on the live video. And now actually that I look at it, that's actually an update. So good, this is a feedback that we had given them. Before on the single view, you had to basically tap. Now you can tap or drag and drop. That wasn't like that. So good feedback that was given, and it has been changed. So I just learned that myself. Let me answer a question here. We have question from Paul. It says, is this app completely separate from VX? So one or the other, but not both at a given time. Paul, that is correct. One of the applications has to connect to the unit. You can only connect to one or the other. However, as I've mentioned in some previous webinars, we are in the works of trying to get basically a one platform or a one app solution where you can get all of these different features just in one application, so you don't have to keep going back and forth. We've got a question from June. It says, does this work with the Excite Tour? I believe that it does. I will get verification on it. I do recall hearing from the developers that it does, but I will verify that for you. Obviously, you're not going to have club and ball trays because that's not a feature of the Excite Tour, but the application itself is. I will get verification. I'm not sure if it's the X3 and the X2 Elite or the X3 and the Excite Tour, but I will find out. So a question here, I'm sorry, I can't say your name, but it's ZDENEK, asks, can you please show again how to connect the cameras to the app by the X3? So to connect cameras, what you're going to do is you're going to go to settings, you're going to go into video, and you're going to see your camera sources on the left hand side here. If you wanted to connect, for example, a multicam, then what you would do is you would open up the multicam in the particular device, so like in your iPhone, or even if you're using another iPad. And because I don't have multicam, because I'm videoing with this device, I don't have it, but I can show you guys on my phone. And I'll do a webinar on multicam as well. Let me bring up my multicam here. So you'll go into your icon of multicam, and you're going to open it up. It'll look like this. And all you're going to do is you're going to scan, or you're going to connect to the device as well. So for example, my iPad would be connected to the X3. I would connect my iPhone or my other camera to the X3. And then on this list here, you see how it says multicam server from Alex's iPhone disconnected? That's because I've connected to this before. So I can actually connect to the radar, and it would populate here. And so then I can, I basically have my iPad camera, I have my radar camera, and I have my multicam. And that's how you would do that. And then you would see it as one of the option feeds in the application. Hope that answers that. Duke, your question about never used the app before, do you have to connect to the XI2 in a special way? It would be the same way. Again, I'll get verification if it does connect. I see Mac just answered that the VX app and the video app work independently. Mac, if you can find out for me from the developers if the XI Tour works with the video app. Thanks. And then back to, I'm guessing is Zednek. I'm not sure how to say that name, but I apologize. If you don't have a QR code, that's fine. What you can do is you can just go into your settings. I'll show you how to do it here. You go to Wi-Fi, and then you're going to see, you see how my X3 is populated there? I would just connect to it like a normal Wi-Fi network. So you don't have to have the QR code. The QR code is just to make it easier for you, so you don't have to type in the serial number. But that's how you would do it. You would connect to the Wi-Fi, and the password is always a serial number of the unit. So in this scenario, it would be capital X3-002151. All right, so we'll continue right along. Go back into the video app. And so we discussed single view. We discussed the overlay screen. We have the dual screen side by side. And then last but not least, you have your 3-screen split. And again, you can move things around. For example, if I just want to drag and drop something. Now, we have lesson data tab. So this is where all the shots would be for all your particular data parameters. So let's call it the table screen. And then you have your videos that you've collected on the device and are within the application. Now, some things to talk about that have changed in the app that we used to have before. For some of our previous users, you might remember that there was a section that allowed you to do what's called the screen recording. Now, I believe it was in iOS 13, Apple did an update that basically created a native solution, which is called the screen recording. And so if you drop down, you're going to see this little icon on the bottom right that looks like a circle within a circle. That's actually the screen recording option. So what they basically do is they allow you to basically speak over a video that you've recorded, or an app, or basically your screen. So it took away the functionality of our screen recording option. And because it's a native solution now done through iOS, that's why it was removed from the application. We are looking at ways to be able to bring this function back and allow you to also upload that into your myflightscope.com account. So that's basically where that, that screen recording function went to. So in a whole, I know it sounds very simple. The application, we really tried to design it so that it was very user friendly and allow you to basically bring in different feeds to just make it easier for you when you're in a lesson or in a fitting or whatever the case may be. We didn't cover the club selection option, but again, you can just click on club, and that gives you, if I go to live, sorry, My app is a little slow right now. In the live section, so let me show you from a new session. In the live section, you can go into your bag. You can go in here and then edit your clubs. Once you're in a review session, it doesn't let you go back and actually change the club because it's already recorded. But this is where you can do your equipment once you get into a new session. So that covers the video app in a whole. I'd love to take any more questions that you guys have. We are also going to be, I'm also going to be signing up to do a webinar for myflightscope.com and some new features that we would like to add to it. I believe next week is going to be short game. I won't be conducting that one as I'll be away on business travel, but I believe Henry, our founder and CEO, will be covering that webinar for you guys. Any other questions? So we did have confirmation that you can use the video app with the Excite Tour. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to verify. I didn't want to speak incorrectly on that. Nathan has a question here. It says, so it is possible to have two iPads running each app separately connected simultaneously? No. The only thing you can do is you can run multicam on an additional device so that you can bring that video feed in. You cannot run, for example, the VX app and the video app at the same time connected to the same device. And the reason for that is because the application takes the role as what we call a operator, and you can only have one operator operating the device at the current moment. So the multicam is basically just a listener or providing a video feed. It basically has no control of the device. So that's why you can use multiple videoing sources using multicam, but you cannot have two operating apps such as VX and video app operating in the same device at the same time. Does this sync? This question from Scott. Does this sync well with Android devices? We do have the application on Androids, and it is available for use. So Juan asked about the club tracing on Excite Tour. The Excite Tour does not allow club tracing because it does not have fusion tracking. That feature is only available on the X3. Question from Giovanni, is the Mevo Plus supported now / in future? Can I use the Mevo Plus camera? I do believe there's talks about allowing the Mevo Plus to basically connect to the video app. Again, there will not be any fusion tracking to my knowledge because the radar doesn't have that capability. Question from Duke here, how do you sync the app to the FlightScope? You would basically, again, you would just go into your Wi-Fi settings. I'll show you how to do that again. Wi-Fi settings, you go Wi-Fi, and then you're going to see under networks where it populates, you're going to see where it populates the Wi-Fi signals. You would just click on your unit. Let's say it's X3-01234. Once it asks you for the password, that's the password you would input, and then you would be able to connect right into your application. Okay, question here from Michael. How to set up students and share sessions to post lessons via email? Great question. So we'll go back into the application. So what you can do here is if you go into your players, for example, I have my player list. So these are all the sessions that I've done with this particular player. So I am in my review session. And you notice that there's a little cloud icon. That means that that session has been pushed to myflightscope.com, the numerical session. If I go to, let me open this session. So in myflightscope.com, you're going to be allowed to have, I believe it's 3 to 10 free videos that get uploaded. Once you've exceeded that capacity, then you would have to pay for a different subscription, obviously because storing videos takes up data. And then that information basically gets sent into the player account. We are going to be making some changes on myflightscope.com where coaches can also sign up, and you basically will have a list of all of your players. And then from there, not only will you receive the information for the particular player swing and video, but the player will get that as well. So, and once that's updated, you'll see some of those changes on the application as well, which will make the sharing functionality into myflightscope.com very simple. Alrighty, guys, I think I have covered most of the questions on here, or all of the questions. I don't see any more questions in the Ask a Question section. Again, I really thank you guys for taking the time to come on here and let us give you some education on these applications. If you guys have any requests on webinars that you would like to see, or any training or information, please, feel free to email us that at sales@flightscope.com, or you can put it in the comments section, or you can put it in the Ask a Question section, and then we can go from there. So thank you guys again for joining. I won't see you next week, but I'll see you the following week. Take care of yourselves.